What is up, everyone? Welcome into ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. I'm Mauricio Rodriguez, and I'm excited about tonight's show because we will discuss three bandwagons for the Dallas Cowboys for you to hop on in this 2022 season. Now, this was inspired by an NFL article, NFL.com article, in which I think it was, who was it? I cannot remember the author. I owe you that much. But he put together a list of bandwagons around the league to hop on. And I said, hey, you know what? That could be a cool idea for prime time, having some discussion about these Cowboys players, maybe coaches. If some of you guys want to get creative on the chat, of course, you're always encouraged to do so. Thank you for joining the show. Make sure that you hit the like button, share the stream. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, let your friends know about ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. Before we get started officially, let me shout out some people here in the YouTube chat, in the Facebook chat. What is up, Toxic Tom? Saying all aboard the Ryan All bandwagon. Primetime Phil. Hey, Cowboys fans. Samuel Rose saying Ryan All is recruiting. Debo. Louis over at Facebook representing Titans Nation. What is up over there as well? Now that more of us are here, how about we get started with this show officially? Hope that you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday night. Let's get this one started. Here we go. What is up, everyone? Welcome into ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. I'm Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live every Sunday through Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central here on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network. With a lot more content coming your way, of course, over the entire offseason. Make sure that you check out adcsports.com/Dallas for more Cowboys articles and, of course, more Mavericks articles if you are into the NBA. By the way, the NBA finals are pretty close. So I know that we wanted Dallas Mavericks to be in there, but hey, at least we know that the NBA finals are close. Prime time, as always, brought to you by our friends over at freemanhyundai.com. We will talk more about them and the ride of the week in a few moments here on the show. So welcome, everyone. Tonight, the plan is to talk about some of these bandwagons for the Dallas Cowboys that we can hop on before the 2022 NFL season. I was saying before we started the show officially, this was inspired by an NFL.com article in which they pretty much did this exercise for the entire NFL, and I thought we could have some fun looking at some Cowboy-specific players or maybe coaches on this particular conversation. What is up, everyone? What is up, Joe, watching from Italy over at Facebook, Tommy915 over at YouTube. Shout out to Craig as well over at Facebook, saying Celtics in 6, by the way, dropping a prediction in there. I love it. Eminem says, "Que onda, Mo? What is up? What is up?" I appreciate the salute in Spanish. Joey Bella, thank you for your comment as well, saying nice haircut, Mo. Hey, thank you. Anyways, guys, let's get this one started. Three bandwagons to hop on for the Cowboys 2022 NFL season. Now, I'll open this up with this question over in the Facebook chat and the YouTube chat. Which Cowboys player / coach bandwagon are you hopping on this season? Who is one player that you're betting on to have a strong season in 2022? Let me know your answers in the chat. And before I give you my number one, I have 3 players for you. Let me talk to you about our friends over at freemanhyundai.com, because the ride of the week is the new 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz. Amazing looking vehicle, if you ask me. It starts at $33,560. Check out the truck bet over at freemanhyundai.com. Folding second row seating features, Apple CarPlay / Android Auto, towing features. It's capable with trailer sway control, 21 miles per gallon capacity in the city, goes up to 26 in the highway. Check out the freemanhyundai.com website You can go into each vehicle and check out the 360-degree view in the inside, on the outside. So make sure you check it out. Once more, that is freemanhyundai.com. Now, let's see some of your answers here. Hopping on the bandwagon, Craig goes with Moore, apparently. So surprising answer over there. I like it. Though. More on that maybe later. Ridgeway for Gregory, the defensive tackle out of Arkansas. Craig says Zeke. Micah for Kai, which is a good answer. Micah Parsons also for MJ. I do believe that we're all on this, Micah Parsons bandwagon already. Dan Quinn for Tommy 915. Brian Anger, D-Law. Primetime Phil says Jake can't pick a number, Ferguson. I'm glad is don't pick 48. You know what? It gets to the point in which maybe I'm not against any number in the 40s, but 46, 46. That's a bad number to wear, in my opinion. I don't like Jay Ferguson's jersey number either, Primetime Phil. I'm glad that I'm not alone on that front. I'm just making sure. 48. I was right originally. I don't know why I corrected back to 46. My bad. Malik Hooker. So a lot of good answers right now over here in the Facebook chat. My number one, it's a pretty obvious one. I know that I'm not being super original with my number one pick, but it's got to be wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, right? It's got to be CeeDee. Listen, I'm bummed out that Amari Cooper will no longer be a Cowboy. But you know what? CeeDee Lamb has a skill set in which I believe, outside, inside, whatever it is, CeeDee Lamb has pretty much shown us all he can do. And he has been 2 years in this league. Honestly, when it comes to the wide receiver group, and we can talk Jalen Tolbert, we can talk Michael Gallup, James Washington, all of that, and we can talk about the depth of the position, the player that will define whether or not we look back on this offseason and how we evaluate the Cowboys' decision to move on from Amari Cooper. The guy who will determine that is 100% CeeDee Lamb, the guy who is expected to become the number one wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. We've been hearing about the negative stuff, the drops and all of that, but hey, we've touched on that topic before here on Prime Time. Some of the very best receivers in the league are always on that top 10 ranking, for example, for drops on a single season. So I'm not that concerned about the drops. I am all in on the CeeDee Lamb bandwagon, and I think that he will deliver for the Dallas Cowboys strongly. Because and MJ says, I wanted CeeDee at first, but I changed it, which is fair. The thing about CeeDee Lamb, Gregory says, I am already riding that wagon. That's fair. And I've always been since 2020. I have a live reaction to that CeeDee Lamb draft pick in which I'm just freaking out once the Cowboys pick him. But the thing is, back then it was about CeeDee Lamb being the number 2 guy. Outside or inside, whatever it was, but he was the number 2 receiver. Now it's about being number 1. Now it's about stepping up and being the guy that not only gets maybe double coverage in plenty of scenarios, but also is able to beat those double coverages, maybe generate separation in the biggest of moments. I think CeeDee Lamb will deliver on that front based on what we have seen out of the young player. Excited about that. We still don't know what his role will be in 2022. Just super excited for figuring that out. Joe says, I don't like CeeDee Lamb getting 88 because he hasn't earned it. But I understand that. However, specifically for number 88, I can live with that because that's how the Cowboys have handled it all of the time, right? They gave Dez Bryant number 88 right away. The same for Michael Irvin. And maybe back then, it wasn't that much of a tradition with only Drew Pearson having worn it before. But I love how the Cowboys have handled 88. Now, Craig says, it's just a number. Craig, let us have some fun. It is May. It is the 31st of May. Let us talk jersey numbers. Just kidding. Des had most drops in 1 year, says Russell. Exactly. And you see those rankings for the most drops, and you see consistently some of the best players in the NFL. By the way, do me a favor and smash the like button before we get to number two here. Before we get to number two, do me a favor and hit the like button. Number two might be a little bit more controversial. Out of the three players that I have for you guys tonight, let me know what you think in the chat. I think this one will generate some controversy, and that is not the goal, but I truly believe it. For me, number two is offensive tackle Tyron Smith. Some of you might be thinking, wait a moment. Tyron Smith has been around for a long time. He's been an all-pro consistently. But doesn't it feel to you guys like Tyron Smith is dealing with plenty of doubts in 2022? I feel like Cowboys Nation has approached the Tyron Smith conversation with a certain level of fear. You talk about Tyron Smith, and the conversation always centers around him staying healthy, which is fair because he has not played a full season in a long time. And it's not only the fans, it's also the team itself. They drafted Tyler Smith, 24th overall, and have publicly described the Tyler Smith pick as, Tyron Smith's successor. And that is also fair. I'm not against any of that. But it does feel like every conversation around Tyron Smith has revolved about him maybe nearing the end of his career with the Dallas Cowboys and more or less ignoring how he's one of the best players in one of the premium positions in the NFL. Because Tyron Smith, he still got it. Honestly, when he's healthy and when he's out there on that football field, maybe he's not at his prime, but he's still winning in pass protection. He's still doing some insane things in the run game. He's still tossing players around from time to time, and he's still winning with highly technician skills, both with his hands and his feet. Just last night, I was watching a random offensive line clinic video on YouTube, and Tyron Smith came up like 4 to 5 times in the examples that they were giving. So Tyron Smith is one of my players to hop on his one bandwagon. And I get it. He's been around for a long time. But at this stage of his career, most of Cowboys Nation's conversations about the left tackle are more negative than they're positive. I'm betting on him to have a strong season. And maybe he misses a couple of games or something like that. But as long as it's not a big number, call it a successful season for the offensive tackle. I love Tyron Smith. Talent-wise, his Toxic Tom, just wish that he could stay healthy. I could see this being his last year with Dallas. And that will definitely be 100% up to Tyler Smith. If Tyler Smith surprises us and in year one, he develops his use of hands, he nails the feet, and he just polishes his fundamentals, which are pretty bad at this point, or at least when he was in college, maybe the Cowboys do feel comfortable moving on from Tyron. That's a big question that we won't answer. On the other hand, if Tyler doesn't work out, you got to wonder what will happen there. James, with a random question here, says, who is receiver 3 opening night versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? That's a good question. I am betting, assuming Michael Gallup is not ready to go, I'm assuming that it's James Washington behind Jalen Tolbert and CeeDee Lamb. Now, if Michael Gallup is ready to go, which doesn't seem likely, then it's Tolbert for me. But right now, if I would have to make the call, I would still bet on James Washington because I would make Tolbert the number 2 guy, even if it's week 1. Even if it's week 1. Now, What if the Cowboys add a veteran free agent? I know that I think it's Samuel that pretty much brings up Will Fuller as a potential free agent target every time that we talk wide receivers, and there's a good reason for that. Maybe you sign a player like Will Fuller and he earns a starting role early in the season. Michael Dury says, Simi is our number 3 wide receiver. A lot of people are excited about that Simi Fehoko storyline of him getting first team reps. I get it. But also, I do believe, as Mike Fisher pointed out on an article of his, that we've played this game a lot of times on young wide receivers getting first team reps. I don't think that's, a signal necessarily of him actually having a big role. And I'm not against Simi Fehoko. I love, the size speed combination that everyone talks about. He can develop into a pretty decent weapon in the NFL if things work out for him. I'm just not as bullish on him being a starter in week 1. What's up, Professor O? Thank you for joining the show. Sergio Rangel says Antonio Brown at a cheap price. Oh, no, I don't know about that one. I wouldn't go down that road. I know some people will come at Sergio for that comment, but I like the creativity, and I also like the idea of taking some risks, so I respect Sergio's comment. I'm just not sure at this point about Antonio Brown. I just don't know if he has crossed certain lines that make me go, you know what? Nah, no longer. Gregory says, and hey, this is a strategy question that comes up hand in hand with the question that James brought up. Is your number 3 wide receiver the slot? Because if you go out there and you play, say, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, and James Washington, at least based on where he has lined up throughout his career, you would make James Washington an outside receiver. Now, Tolbert, for the most part in his career, was the X receiver, so he was playing outside most of the time isolated. Are you comfortable with CeeDee Lamb, the number 1 guy, being your slot? And remember, not because you're on the slot, that doesn't mean that you're the number 3 guy. You can be the number 1 guy and play inside. And teams have done it at a very high level in the NFL. But what do the Cowboys want? Do you want to play Jalen Tolbert in the slot? Do you want to play James Washington in the slot? Washington can do a little bit of everything on that front because, once again, primarily he is lined up on the outside as a Pittsburgh Steeler. But at the end of the day, what you want out of him is his vertical speed and the ability that he has to really be a threat in the deep game. And you find a way to maybe get him on the inside. And then there is the young guys, as Joey Vela is pointing out. Simi and Basher stepping it up in OTAs. That's going to be a fun battle. And of course, you cannot overlook a guy like Noah Brown, who's also out there fighting for a role. But anyways, fun sidetrack on the wide receiver position. I love that. I don't have any other wide receiver on this list. At number 3, I have another player. And, plenty of Cowboys fans are already on this bandwagon. But I will explain what I mean with this one. Running back, Tony Pollard. Here's what I mean. Last year, we had very similar conversations to the ones that we're having in 2022. Last year, it was all about getting Tony Pollard involved a little bit more. And I hesitated during last year's offseason to be convinced about Pollard getting more playing time. I always doubted that. I always thought, well, you know what? The Cowboys are going to keep prioritizing Ezekiel Elliott maybe pretty heavily, and maybe Pollard will still be close to the 30%, 40% snap split between him and Ezekiel Elliott. But I'm jumping on the bandwagon in this 2022 offseason for the Cowboys to finally actually involve Tony Pollard more intentionally. Calling plays for him, lining him up in the slot, getting him together with Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. I am betting on the Cowboys to finally make that happen in 2022. Maybe I'm being optimistic. Let's see what you guys think about on this. Truth or false, 2022 is the year that Tony Pollard gets closer to over 50% of the snaps. Let me know your comments in the Facebook chat and the YouTube chat. Because also, there are a lot of factors to take into consideration on this conversation. Tony Pollard, on one hand, Ezekiel Elliott will be healthier. And on the other hand, Ezekiel Elliott's time with the Cowboys is not going to look as safe next year. Because obviously you couldn't get rid of him in 2022. 2023, it starts to look like a possibility. You still need to take a hit and all of that, but it's doable. Whereas at this point of the year, at this point of his contract, it's not doable at all. So I'm betting on the Cowboys making that move. I hope that they do. I'm not talking about him being the starter over Ezekiel Elliott. I still think that Zeke can provide a lot of stuff for the Cowboys, especially if he's healthier. Let's see some of your expectations here. Truth or false, 2022 is the year Tony Pollard gets closer to over 50% of the snaps. Craig says he better. Primetime goes with true. Tommy says no because Kellen Moore is still here. Chris says I think that he actually gets more. I love it. James goes with false. Big false for Toxic Tom. Gregory says true, I hope. Let's see. False for Samuel Rowe. False, sadly, says Professor O. It should be true. He should get 17 to 20 touches a game. And then we have James saying his inability to block snaps, keeps him sidelined, which is more or less true in my opinion. Ezekiel Elliott is a pretty good pass protector, and Tony Pollard maybe isn't bad at it. He's just not at 6 level on that front. Give me more Tony Pollard. He like Terry has a simple comment, yet it's the best way to sum it up. He needs more. How do you go into 2022 and how do you justify not increasing Tony Pollard's snaps? He simply needs more, like Terry is saying in the Facebook chat. I know that, it's just a 3-word comment, but I couldn't have said it better. He really needs more. Yet another example, says Toxic Tom, that our coaching staff and front office is holding this team back again. Anyways, those are my 3 bandwagons to hop on. Tony Pollard, more in the sense that, the Cowboys actually playing him more time. I'm optimistic that they will make it right this time around. Now, before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, and by the way, thank you to Professor O saying, chat, do me a favor, click the like button and follow ADC Sports. Thank you. Thank you for that. And Mauricio on Twitter, you can find me at Mau NFL. That's MAU NFL. A lot of my tweets are in Spanish, but you can click the translate tweet there, or if it doesn't give you the option, just hit me up and I will gladly translate for you. My Twitter description is bilingually tweeting the NFL. And I think maybe 60-70% of my tweets are in Spanish. Follow me, Mau NFL. Thank you to Professor O. Mo, where the F is Ryan Knowles, says Toxic Tom. I didn't include him, man. I didn't include him. What the heck? Why is there Steve Kerr hate on the YouTube comments? Steve Kerr nailed it on the basketball field and in the press conference, if you ask me. Thank you guys for the love over at Facebook and YouTube. But anyways, before we get out of here, some interesting news around the NFL. Akiem Hicks has been signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this matters to the Cowboys in 2 ways. Number 1, We wanted Akiem Hicks, some of us at least. I made a video about it during the free agency. I wanted the Cowboys to sign him. When Sky and I put together our mock offseason, we actually signed Akiem Hicks. We actually signed the guy. Or was it Calais Campbell? I remember we discussed at the very least Akiem Hicks. We wanted a defensive tackle before the NFL draft. But also it's important because remember when we had that show about Tyron Smith facing some of the best defensive tackles in the NFL in the first 6 weeks of the season? Now Vita Vea has someone else to play with. Akiem Hicks and Vita Vea. So this piece of news was definitely interesting to read about. I think that this is a big signing by the Tampa Bay Bucks. Akiem Hicks for a deal worth keyword up to $10 million with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a pretty good deal. Let's see how the Cowboys fare with Tyron Smith, Tyler Viadish, and of course, Zach Martin versus Vita Vea and Akiem Hicks. I'm excited about that matchup. And it will be a trial by fire for Tyler Smith if he starts in week 1. Fair assessment, though, by Professor O, saying, I don't think that Hicks is an upgrade over Sue, personally. I think I would agree to that, Professor O. I think that I would agree to that. But yeah. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the show. Who is Mo? Says James. I'm Mo. People call me Mo. I'm Mauricio, but some people here call me Mo, especially here on primetime, not going to lie. But anyways, thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining the show. Do me a favor and hit the like button. Remember, we are live every Sunday through Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central here on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network. With a lot more content coming your way, check out adcsports.com/Dallas. And remember, primetime, as always, brought to you by FreemanHyundai.com, a family-owned business for over 65 years. Make sure you check it out and check out the new 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz. Thank you, guys. Hit the like button, share the stream, and I will see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central.